popular in jail. You just don't want to be popular. You want to stay under the radar, read your book, mind your own business, which is what I do. I stay on my bed and I just read my book all day. I don't interact with anybody other than for a couple minutes. Say, hey, how you doing? Okay, cool, man. All right, yeah, good luck. And then I go right back to my bunk and I read. But when my picture was in the paper yesterday, I constantly expected for them to come in and arrest me. And they literally arrest you right on your bed. I'm not going to tell you their policies, procedures, and protocols because I don't want to get in trouble, but I can tell you that you get arrested. So just picture what that is, and that's what happens to you right on your bed. And then they walk you down the hallway, and they take you to the isolation tank, and they put you in there. So yesterday, when my picture was in the paper, I kept on looking at the door, thinking that someone was going to come in. Now, the 3 or 4 guys around my bunk, we sit there and we talk a little bit through the day. You know, I try not to talk too much because it's just better to stay to yourself and read your book. And so, but they all knew who I was at this point now. There's a huge write-up in the paper. And so I told them, I'm afraid that this write-up is going to get me in trouble. That I'm going to have to go to the hole for just whatever reason, you know. Just, you know what I mean? Like, you're popular in there, and you're in a place where someone can do what they want with your life. And so you think, you know, they do follow a very rigid set of policies, procedures, and protocols, and I have never seen them beat, kick, or punch anybody. So that's different than any other jail I've ever been to. I've been arrested. I just don't have a criminal record. So anyway, I kept on thinking that they were going to come in and arrest me and put me in the hole. And then sometime yesterday afternoon, a guy walked in, guard named P. I'll just put it like that. I'm not gonna say anything about anybody. The guard's name is P, and I recognized him because he was one of the guards in my last housing bunk cell dorm unit. So I recognized him, and when I went in there from coming back from the van, from the meat locker, I was still going through. I don't ever show the guys me lose my cool, but when I came back in from that meat locker van, this Mr. P met me at the door, and he knew I had been rocked because I was in that van and hyperventilating, and that meat locker van, when you're cuffed up inside of it, is just terrifying. And so Mr. P took me outside to the courtyard, just me, by myself, and said, come out here, I know you're struggling. And then we went around the corner, and I just lost it, you know, just breathing and trying to catch my breath. And so I recognized Mr. P. And yesterday he came to the door, and he walked in, and he walked up to the front door, and I was constantly looking at the door all day, and the 3 guys next to my bunk were looking at me. And I looked over and saw this Mr. P come in, and then I looked at the 3 guys, and they all looked at me like, oh shit, they're taking you. And then he started walking. There's 4 rows, and it's 70 feet to get to the 4th row. And so he's walking, and then he walks over down towards the 4th row, and I realize he's coming to arrest me. He's coming right now to arrest me. And then he starts walking down my row, and he's getting closer, and he comes right up to my bunk, and then he looks at my bunk number, and then he slides down 2 more bunk numbers south of me. And I hear myself go, I had been holding my breath, and I had no idea. And then I turned to the 3 guys next to me, and one of the guys, we'll call him Ryan. I don't want to give anybody's names. Ryan looks at me and goes, dude, I told you they weren't coming for you. But he didn't know. We all thought when Mr. P walked in that I was going to the hole. All of us did. Me and the 3 guys who were all kind of on my wavelength. Without saying a word, when he came in, we all looked at me and looked at each other, and I thought, man, I'm going to the hole. I'm going to the hole. Someone who's a higher up doesn't like that I'm this figure in the newspaper, and they're just going to put me in the hole because they can, but they didn't. And so this morning I woke up to call Brian and tell him, don't live stream and play my phone calls at the same time. Now, the editor told me that they've already done this 2 other times. So the only time they shut me down is when I was actually live streaming my phone call from the jail. But my anxiety is, I am daunted. It is daunting, and it is real. It's very real. This has to change, and I have to change it at the legislative level. That's what has to happen. I have to change at the legislative level. If I don't, then it'll continue to happen to people, and it has to change. And again, the guards are following the protocols, but the protocols are put in place by the legislature. So I have to change the legislatures. I can't. The guards are not going to say, "Oh, we're going to do it different now," when it's in the legislation. That it's in the legislation. That's what they do, and the legislation has to change. So, yeah, that's just my message. Yeah, I guess because I'm up so early. I didn't sleep at all last night, just afraid, and I hadn't showered for a full week until last night. It was a full 7 days was the last time I showered because I didn't have time. You only get 1 hour when you're in the hole to do everything you're supposed to do. There's no socializing. You can't sit down on a bench and have a conversation with another person. So taking away the basic freedoms and even the proximity of how close a room is to you, it's a very tiny room. The ceiling is, 8 feet, and the 6 feet wide and 12 feet deep, and there's 2 wooden bunk beds in there that are built into the wall. So you have to lay on this wooden bunk bed. They put a mattress on there. It's not a mattress. It's just pretty much a piece of cloth that goes over the wood. It's extraordinarily uncomfortable and so painful. And so it's not against the rules for my calls to be recorded. If it was, I would be in the hole right now. And they take the rules very seriously here. So this morning I woke up at 7 a.m. here in Nevada when my free time started, where I can walk to the phone or I can go sit on the cafeteria tables in the front of the room, in the front of the dorm, or I can request to go outside to the rec room in 30-minute bursts. But this morning I was up at 7 a.m. to call my editor and to call Brian and explain to them that I don't want my phone calls being played during a live stream because it seems to be okay. Brian has done it twice before and I didn't get thrown in the hole. However, yesterday I was on the front page of the paper here in Las Vegas, and the paper is read by every guard here and every inmate in the entire facility. It sits at the front, and that's really all there is to do. Read the paper or socialize and play a chess game or checkers game. So we're locked down a lot, so the guards all read the paper. So it's right there, and all the inmates read the paper. And so this morning I woke up early to call Brian, to call the editor and explain to them that I don't want my phone call played during a live stream. Now, we've already done it 2 other times before, so it could not, it's obviously not against the rules. But yesterday my picture was on the front page of the paper. It only takes one top guard, one top administrator to decide that, maybe that's not allowed. And so I just don't want to take a chance, man. You lose your house. The way it works is you're bunked in a house with 70 other guys. If you go to the hole, you're kicked out of your house, and then you have to go to another bunk and get bunked after you get out of the hole. And I don't want to go to the hole, man. They do not fuck around in here, man. They do not fuck around. Like I'm standing here with my eyes closed. I'm still like a zombie. But I had to wake up and make sure, maybe you can play just a little excerpt, but just letting it play and play and play, I'm afraid that they're going to think it's live. And just remind him he has to repeat, this is not live. This is from a recorded phone call. This is not live. This is not a live stream of Chille talking from the jail. He's not live at all. This is a phone call that was recorded, And you can just let him listen to this recording so he understands my state of mind here, And last time I was in there for 5, and when I got out, I cried. I got out and I just started crying. That's why you see pictures of me in court crying, because I was just so overwhelmed at getting freedom again. It was just like this breath of fresh air, and I just was so overwhelmed. I was so emotional because I hadn't broken, I hadn't screamed or cried or yelled or kicked the door, and most everybody else in that cell block did. Everybody lost their mind, because you're locked up for 23 hours a day. And everybody in that cell block lost their fucking mind, dude. Everybody did. And full-grown men at 10, 11 o'clock at night would be crying, please, somebody just talk to me, please. And I had to hear it, dude. And then they would kick the door, clack, 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 clack. And and then you'd hear someone scream, ah, and then you'd hear someone, boom, punch the door, pow, 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 and then you'd hear someone start to laugh, and then someone would start to sing in Spanish, and then some black guy would start rapping, and it was some girl would start singing, and it was just, and you can't plug your ears. You can't plug your ears. There's no plug in your ears, man. The sound goes right through your skull. You can plug your ears so you can still hear it. And you can only plug your ears and hum for so long before you have to take your fingers out of your ears and stop humming. And then the sound is even louder. It's even louder after that because I hit it. I plugged my ears and hummed for like 10 minutes straight one time. And then after about 10 minutes, I took my fingers out, and nothing had changed. It was the same thing. Somebody talk to me, please. Somebody please talk to me. And someone's screaming and crying. I want my mom. I just want to go home. I just want to go home. And you would hear this for hours every night. You would hear it from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m., 4 hours a night. It would start at 8 p.m. lightly, and then by 10 p.m. it's really rocking. And then by about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m., then it dies. And you sleep till 3, you wake up with just 1 hour of sleep and eat breakfast, which is just 2 pieces of bread and a carton of milk. I mean, they put other stuff on there, but it's not edible. And then you go back to sleep from 3 to 7 or 8 a.m. And if you can sleep, because the nightmares are so bad, because you've been just listening to people cry and beg all night long. It's so horrendous, man. I just don't know if I want to chance it. Remember, I'm on the front page of the paper yesterday. If one of the, higher up guards decides that he doesn't like what I'm doing, then all of a sudden, I'm right back in that hole. You could decide, well, you were doing that, but I don't like it. So I'm going to put you in the Conduct Adjustment Board. The Conduct Adjustment Board automatically sentences you to a week, at least, in the hole. At least. And they're so jovial and so happy, and they're not mad at all when they do it. They're not even upset. Well, you could just go there for a week, and, when you come out, you can rethink about it. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, ma'am, please, no. And she's like, no, that's my decision. Okay, we'll talk to you then. And you're just like, no. So you just let Brian listen to this recording, and I want people to know how horrible it is anyway. It hasn't changed. It literally gives me, PTSD just thinking about it. It's the worst thing you can do to another person. It's the most evil, horrible thing you could do, is go into the hole. So I just don't want to take the chance. Even if it means I'm going to have a shitty channel on YouTube, I don't care. I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't know if you don't know what I mean because you've never experienced it. But it's horrible, dude. It's horrible beyond all measure. It's the reason why I'm going to fast track going into the legislature. Even if I have to go in as just a legislator instead of governor at first, because I have to change this. I can't allow this to continue. And it's not the guards' fault. They're just doing their job. The legislators create the policy. And so, it's not like the guards are mean or they're cruel or they're vicious. They're not. They're following a protocol. And so we have to change it at the legislator level. We can't change it at the guard level. And what happens is you get what's called a Conduct Adjustment Board. That's what it's called. So the Conduct Adjustment Board will then put you in the hole for at least 3 to 5 days before you get your hearing. And then when they put you in the hole, like I was in the hole for my second day, I had my Conduct Adjustment Board hearing. And there was a very nice lady who came on with a big blue stripe flag behind her, the size of the entire video screen. And she says, well, it looks like you need to have your behavior adjusted, so I'm just going to put you in for 7 days. And that was at day 2. And day 2, it felt like I'd been in there for 2 months. And she's very sweet, very lovely. She's just following all of these procedures and protocols. And so she does it with, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-ay, my, oh my, just 7 more days. And when she said it, it's like a a thud of an aircraft carrier crashing into your heart. And so I was just devastated. She said 7 days. And then I think that at the cell block where they put the tiny little cells, I think that got too full, and I was a model inmate in there because I never kicked the door or banged the door. And I already gave a description of that a few minutes ago, and the editor can cut in. Here's the description I gave a few minutes ago. So when that's what you deal with when you're in there. And so last night, obviously anybody who I call records my phone calls because I'm a journalist. I'm one of the big voices in the country when it comes to reform, police reform, and jail reform. And so I learned a word in high school called daunting, daunting, daunted, and it said to instill fear or make afraid. That was the definition. I learned it when I was a junior in high school, and I remember things I think are cool, and I thought that was kind of a cool word, daunted. And you've heard me probably say it 1,000 times because I think the word's a cool word, but to be honest with you, I never really understood what daunted or daunting means until I was thrown in the hole.